And in more comic book news, as far as the printed page goes, forget the movies. DC announced this new Superman. Was it Wonder Woman, Superman, or Superman, Wonder Woman?
Superman, Wonder Woman.
It's Superman and Wonder Woman, which is probably a controversy in itself.
Yeah, when they announced it, they're like, oh, no, it's not top billing, bottom billing. It's it's just they're both names and they're on the cover.
I always go by alphabetical, anyways, but whatever.
Well, Superman, Batman used to be Superman, Batman, and now it's Batman, Superman.
Batman, Superman.
So hey,
yeah, mix it up. But this is a new ongoing series that's been announced, and it is Wonder Woman's first headlining book, or co-headlining, outside of her own solo title in decades.
Yeah, she had like Sensation, whatever, but when was that? The 40s?
That was the 40s, and Justice League, all that jazz. But this is something to be excited for, but in classic DC fashion as of late, it got most press because people had a problem with it.
Yeah, it's like shipping, like slash fic.
Slash fic, exactly. It was the cover of them just embracing and
on
a kiss.
Their knees, right?
They're lip locked and maybe knee locked.
Yeah,
I don't know, but a lot of people were just like, "Oh man, we're getting another romantic super tale."
Right.
I get. Your worries, but of course, you don't know it until you read it, and it's coming from Charles Soule,
right?
And Tony Daniel on art, and Soule's awesome.
Yeah, those are my 2 points. One, it's that what they said when they announced it to me was, this is because they didn't want to push the relationship into Wonder Woman's book. That right. Brian Azzarello is doing such a great job with Wonder Woman's book, they don't want to shoehorn Superman into that.
No.
But they want to give the relationship some room to breathe, and so they're making this book and putting Charles Soule. He does relationships really well.
Yeah.
I know you haven't read this, but the next issue of Thunderbolts, when he takes over, he makes that Punisher Elektra thing actually work, where Punisher's sort of F-buddies. I would say dating to be PC, but they're not dating. They're just like shooting guns and then having sex.
Going to date.
But it doesn't make any sense. Why would Punisher do this? And what Charles Soule did was he had the device of the War Journal, like the internal monologue of Punisher, where he's like talking to you as the reader through the device of the War Journal, and he's talking this stuff about how he's done with Elektra, how she lied to him, how she said her brother was dead but he's still alive, and he's going and he kills her brother, and he's like, I'm finished with her, it's over, blah blah blah. So he's saying one thing through that, and then he completely does something completely different. So to say he's acting out of character, yes he is, and he knows it too from his own thing. Right. So he's still having sex with her, even though he's telling us as the readers through the device of the world. Like, Charles Soule is great, Cool. That makes sense of it. So the detractors like, Punisher wouldn't do that. It's like, yeah, he wouldn't do that. He's not comfortable with him doing that either. He doesn't understand why he's doing it, but he's doing it.
Okay.
So
that's cool.
So I think that the relationship will be able to fully breathe and have some good dynamics, because we didn't want it to take over the Justice League title. We didn't want it, I mean, I wouldn't care if it took over a Superman book by Lobdell, but still, it wouldn't have been good. Yeah. And we didn't want it to take over Wonder Woman. This also tells us that their relationship survives Trinity War, which is weird, because Trinity War is their relationship is bringing on Trinity War.
Yeah.
So
absolutely. But I want to be excited for it. I'm excited for it because of Charles Soule.
Right.
I don't necessarily like romance theme that. You know what? I don't like Superman and Wonder Woman's romance.
Right.
And I mean, it's not a romance, but Batman and Superman, I like those two characters as a headlining book because they're night and day.
Right.
They're very two opposite characters in many ways when it comes to.
I love that book when the same thing's happening and you have both of their internal monologues and they're both interpreting the same event opposite interpretations of the same event, and just to see that panel after panel and page after page and see them work together even though they come at a problem from completely different points of view. Fun.
That's fun. But I mean, the thing with Wonder Woman and Superman, I always felt they were kind of on the same page as far as that, superhero morality, whatever. They're not going to have those panels back and forth as much.
We'll see.
I would
like, and this doesn't necessarily. Maybe we're just assuming they're going to stay together. They could have a book where they're dealing with the fallout of their relationship in the world.
It's a hell of a fallout
in the world.
Like that would be good.
Like people get divorced, and there's some fallout with like family, friends, and children maybe, and the house, but what's the fallout of their breakup when they do break up? What would be the fallout of that? That would be interesting. So
I'm excited for it, but it's ongoing.
Yeah, I mean, every relationship's ongoing. So, like, you don't post Facebook like in a relationship 1 of 6.
Yeah, it's true. That's true. You wish you could, but no.
It's
so,
like, well, we've reached the 6th month, and you know, the fans are expecting this to be collected, and
yeah, let's wrap it up here. So that's ongoing in October. Check it out, Charles Soule. And then going back to the Valiant Comic Power Hour, we got to talk about Valiant just a little bit. They are launching their signature series.
Right.
Love Valiant. Now this is bringing back their classic illustrators from the classic Valiant comic books for cover artwork. Basically, you know, they're having Sean Chen on Harbinger and you know, just cool. Bob Hall.
We've seen all those things in the ads for the Comixology with the juxtaposition of the first issue and the first issue side by side. And it looks cool. It's cool they have this history. I mean, I've only read the current stuff, and I love the current stuff, but it's cool they have that history and those old school fans, and it's cool that they're honoring the old creators in that way.
That's like us, kind of. I mean, it's for, I don't know, I consider it for me, for a fan like me, for a fan like you, the people who actually know the artwork from back in the day.
Right.
Brilliant idea, but they've been doing all these things. You know, they got their talking, you know, QR code covers and these 8-bit covers they got coming out right now.
Right.
And then moving on right into the signature series. Smart, keeping it fresh, just brilliant. And this is like a great title, like you said, honoring the old.
It's retro nuevo. It's like
nuevo.
Yeah, it's the old and the new together. You know, it's like that's Valiant's little that's their niche. That's that they're modern, but it's a modern that has respect to the past. And even the 8-bit does that. You know, it's a modern, cool, trendy thing now, but it's a trendy thing that respects the past of video games. So they hit that vibe so perfectly.
They know what they're doing.
So in their wheelhouse.
And I spoke to Bob Layton yesterday, and he can praise the guys running the business as far as these ideas. You know, he likes the ideas that are coming out of him. He doesn't like some other things, but that's a whole other, you know.
I talked to Bob Hall a while ago when you were working.
Yeah,
and
you guys were all drinking in the back, and I'm.
Yeah, he was excited about doing this stuff. So.
He's excited. Yeah, it's cool. So look for.
We talked to these guys.
We talked to them. It's cool. Signature series. Look for in October. And the last thing we wanted to mention was Kick-Ass 2.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Back to movies.
Yeah,
I'm excited. This looks good. Looks violent.
Yeah.
You know, looks a little bloody. I don't have a problem with that per se, but Jim Carrey. Second thoughts?
Yeah.
Came out on Twitter. He said, you know, in wake of Sandy Hook. I mean, he's
had a change of heart.
He's just not promoting it now.
Did he say the level of violence in it?
It was the level of violence.
So, you know, that's fine. I don't know. I mean,
it was respectful. I mean, the way he said it, he wasn't bad mouthing the movie or anything like that. But
no, I mean, I know a tweet's a tweet. It's so many characters.
It's a tweet.
But I'd want some more information. I want more of like what his thought process is. What it is. Is it that he thinks that this level of violence is what causes violence in society? I mean, I know he's a gun control guy, and that's fine. That's his, that's his right or whatever. But I mean, this is fiction. This is like Pulp Fiction or Reservoir Dogs or whatnot. It's in that Tarantino vein, you know. And I don't see how toning back violence in some of these absurd movies of this, you know, kind of wheelhouse of Tarantino and Kick-Ass, how that would translate into less violence in society.
I think he wants this clear conscience. I think it's truly it's personal. I don't think he's coming out against the movie industry per se, or even Mark Miller. And Mark Miller responded after his tweet. Of course, he wrote, you know, a real full-length thing.
Right.
It's like, I totally understand what he's saying. I respect what he's saying. However, like you said,
I disagree.
This is like Tarantino movies. This is its own wheelhouse. It's, you know, it doesn't inspire violence. In fact, we're commenting on the ramifications,
the consequences.
Of such violent acts like this.
Like when Kick-Ass got rolled over, he was in traction for 6 months. The consequence of violence in the reality of the Kick-Ass world, and I say that in quotes, there's more consequences than, say, Man of Steel's big, you know, orgy of rubble.
Right.
You know?
Right. So, that's violence. So
that was almost like 9/11 porn. You know, there's like buildings falling and smoke and all that. It was just like I don't know.
If you look, it's pretty way more violence than Man of Steel than Kick-Ass. However, you know, you got to respect his views. It's always tricky when an actor takes a paycheck, because then the fans are just like, oh, well, you did the movie, you got paid, and now you're kind of like coming out against something I'm a fan of.
Yeah.
in a way, they get a little riled up.
I was more just curious on his opinion because I respect him. I like his work. I like all his stuff. And you know, again, it's a tweet. You can't really get your point across in a tweet. Right. So you know, I'm just interested in what he has to say about it. Yeah.
Maybe he'll come out further again, you know, with it. But it's respectful across the board. Miller to Carrey, Carrey to Miller to the studio. You know, there's no ill will. It's just a, you know, personal conscious, you know,
weird
thing.
Yeah,
something. But
he's actually a human.
He is a human.
Alrighty then.
Dude, you had to do it.
Right.
That's pretty much it as far as a weekly recap. Just the highlights that we wanted to cover. You know, all the stuff's online. Geekrest.com. He's talking about it on a comic show.
Yes.
And yeah, we're gonna keep this going week by week. You know.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
Is that cool?
Yeah.
We're good. All right. Sweet. See you next week.
Bye.